Good morning, guys. Good morning.
Morning.
All
I
right.
don't even know where I am.
I'm just starting to let everybody in. Today we are going to jump right in. Okay. Couple housekeeping things. Yesterday, our scripts class, it was really only attended by Donna, and we ended up talking about scripts for just a second, but we really ended up going through kind of an evolution of a discussion of her goals, her adherence.
Yeah, I was on that call and I got out.
And then an adherence to making sure that everything that she claims is important to her found a place on her calendar. And I think that she's been gracious enough to allow that discussion to be public, and we've recorded it, and it is waiting, and it is already uploaded. So yesterday we uploaded the morning session, the kind of impromptu CMA session. I called that a calendar and time blocking workshop, kind of rather than scripts. And then, of course, we did a models workshop. All that has been uploaded. Okay. A quick reminder to you guys, the link for reporting, I really need you to fill that out. Okay. And I'll be sending out another one, probably, let's say Sunday. And that's where I want you to report everything from this last shortened week, the Monday through Sunday. Okay. All right. Let's talk about shift really fast. Tell me a little bit about, the assignment was to read the first chapter, or I'm sorry, the first tactic of shift. The assignment was to read the first tactic of shift. So tell me a little bit about what you read, if there's a phrase or a couple phrases that stood out to you, if you want to talk just in general terms. Who wants to share? Did anyone do their homework? Heather, it looked like you were going to say something. I can't hear you though.
I said still muted. Sorry. I previously read it, so it's like way highlighted obnoxiously because I love a highlighter in a good book.
Nice, me too. See.
Yeah, exactly. So let me see here. One of the things that I have highlighted was the 3 types of people who emerge when a market shifts.
Tell us about that.
First are those who fearfully predict for the worst and are unnecessarily pessimistic. Second are those who hopefully wish for the best, believe they can't fail, and are unrealistically positive. And the third are those who respect the fact that they might fail and actively prepare for the worst and strive for the best.
Which one are you going to be, Heather?
I'm probably going to be number 2. I hopefully wish for the best, believe they can fail, and remain unrealistically positive for today. It could change tomorrow. We don't know.
Okay. Does anyone want to be number 1?
Of course.
Read number 1 one more time.
First, number 1 is those that fearfully predict the worst and are unnecessarily pessimistic.
Okay. And let's just think for a second about that type of person. Do you think that they are very likely or very unlikely to get themselves into the right mindset and energy to do the work that's required?
They're very likely.
You think they're very likely?
Unlikely, though.
Yeah, I think if they're unnecessarily pessimistic, then they have to continue to strive for something, even if they're fearing failure.
Okay, that's an interesting way to look at it. I would actually think about it the other way, to say, if you're unrealistically pessimistic, you're basically going to throw in the towel and, maybe not even consider this business anymore.
I would look at it this way, Bill.
Right, actually.
Sorry.
Optimistic, sorry.
Yeah, so I would look at it this way. So you would not be going on any appointments right now because of what's going on now, right? If you're
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I
doing
was
any of that,
sick.
you wouldn't be doing any of that. You would be like, well, I better just get out of this real estate business now because the whole world is going to end tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
Okay. And so read number 2 again.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. I should have woke up a little bit earlier than 5 minutes ago. Second, those who hopefully wish for the best believe they can't fail.
What do you think those people are going to do?
Keep moving.
Okay. I agree.
And they're unrealistically positive.
So Gary said something on the call or Monday, and he made a comment that says the coronavirus is not the only thing that's contagious,
That's true.
right? Fear is contagious. Negative energy is contagious. Positive energy is contagious, right?
mm-hmm.
So although number 2 might not be thinking about this kind of with a clear head, right? They may be the ones that are like still trying to eat at a restaurant or, not practicing social distancing and this kind of stuff, right? But their attitude is contagious, which is probably a good thing, right? So when they get on the telephone with their prospects and their clients and their friends that they're checking in on, they're going to liven up the mood. And that's super important. Okay. And number 3, read number 3 one more time for me. Can't hear you.
Third are those who respect the fact that they might fail, actively prepare for the worst, and strive for the best.
I would say that's probably the most well-rounded person,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the person that's going to first resort to their plan, right? So they say, oh my gosh, I need 50 appointments before the end of this year to hit my financial goals. I can't, I'm not going to fail, right? So I got to figure out strategically how I'm going to host open houses in this chaos, how I'm going to show homes in this chaos, right? They're editing their plan so that they don't fail. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who else has some thoughts? Thank you, Heather. Who else has some thoughts on what they read? I saw a pretty cool line. Remember, this is a book from 2008, okay? Last night I sent you, or yesterday afternoon, I sent you a link for a podcast called Win, Make, Give. Win, Make, Give is the podcast of Ben Kinney. Ben Kinney happens to be the #1 agent in all of Keller Williams. Okay, 185,000 agents. He's #1. Okay, he's in his late 30s, I think, or maybe he's probably around my age, late 30s, early 40s. And he used to be a cable guy. Okay, he's got a pretty amazing story if you're not familiar with him. He was interviewed in 2008 in this book. I'm looking on page 27 right now, and it says the market is chaos. Chaos is opportunity. It is much easier to slip by the competition when they have their heads down pouting. Was he the #1 agent in all of Keller Williams in 2008?
Probably not.
He wasn't.
Okay.
Okay. But he is now. And when this market was chaos last time, right, and we've already discussed the differences between 2008 and now, right? But when there was uncertainty and people that were very scared and paralyzed and people were in massive financial trouble, right? Ben looked around and he said, oh my gosh, my competition's sleeping and complaining. And that's where I'm going to, quote, slip by. And then 12 years later, he's the #1 agent in the world.
Mm. So I also saw something right there also. It said the critical actions that you identify must be carried out by you or personally overseen by you on a daily basis.
Critical
That kind of
action
struck a chord
identified
with me
must be
too.
carried out by you or personally overseen by you on a daily basis. That's right.
Yeah.
You have to determine, you got to double down on the things you do and that your organization relies on you to do. Right? Most of us are single agents here, but we have to understand that, you know, now is the time. You ever heard the phrase that when you get a lot of I'm going to butcher the delivery here, but when you get a lot of money, when you become wealthy, right, it just amplifies your personality, right? It doesn't change your personality, it just amplifies it. So for example, you know, there's been a lot of studies of people that have won the lottery and then they find themselves right back, you know, in financial struggle, you know, a year or two later, right? Because they didn't have good money habits to begin with, right? And they didn't have good organizational habits and behavioral habits to begin with. And then they got a ton of money and it became more and more obvious that they had those problems. Does that make sense? It's kind of the same idea here. It's when in crisis, your traits have an opportunity to be amplified, right? So if you're really good at lead generation, you're really good at following your schedule, nothing's going to change, right? But if you're not particularly good at these things, you're going to say, no one's making calls today. I'll just watch some more TV. And you'll be the person that they slip by. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bill, I like the section where he talks about clarity, priority, and focused action. And yes, be clear about what you want and you know what you need to do every day.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm listening to the audiobook. I don't have my actual book yet, so.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So go into a bit more detail. Tell me what you learned from from reading that part.
Well, it reminds me to stay on task with my goal, like be clear about my goal and be focused on it every day. Because if I don't have clarity about my goal, I won't make it a priority and I definitely won't stay focused on it.
Right. Right. So I'm just going to go out on a limb here, and we all know that you know, exercising and is important to you, and your health is important to you, right? So
Yes.
for the last with the exception of the last 4 or 5 days, it's pretty much rained like 50 days in a row, right?
Yes.
Were you working out when it was raining?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Right.
I like the rain.
Well, you like working out, and you're willing
Yes.
to tolerate the rain if it's there. Does that make sense?
That's correct. Yes.
It's like we like creating opportunity, making phone calls, adding people to our database, speaking to humans, interacting, showing property, making deals happen. And if there's some other little fact, I'm not saying this is little, but if there's some factor that is now in our environment, we just have to figure out how to adjust, right?
Right.
Adjusting for you might be putting on a raincoat and getting out there and run.
Right. Well, I'm definitely going through an adjustment right now because I can't get out of the house for the safety of my family. I mean, I can do a few little things, but as far as meeting people and having appointments and doing open houses, I'm kind of like stuck. So I'm trying to just stay positive about what I can get done.
Yeah.
And then I just keep saying to myself every day, this too shall pass. And when this is over, I'll have everything lined up to do what I need to do. So that's kind of my focus right now.
Good. Love it. All right. Who else wants to share?
I want to add to that also, Kim. If you do the audio book, there is a website that you can get some figures. It's the what is it called? The gift. What is it? The something gift? I forgot. But I can send you what I downloaded, and or I can put it on the thing there. But one thing I kind of jumped ahead. I saw a figure. Actually, let me share it.
Charleston, if you don't mind sending that to me, then I'll upload it into the drive. Okay.
All right, I'll do it. Perfect. But there was one thing that struck me. If I can just share my screen for a quick second.
Yeah. I don't think I have a restriction on that.
Yeah, I just have to figure out which screen I'm looking at, so hit share. So this is something that struck me doing those figures. I kind of so
Yeah.
that's all the figures, and you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
So it says for you, Kim, it says what to do in 3 hours. I guess is to basically, do what you do in 3 hours. It says prepare, action, take action, and then thing. So in my head, I'm thinking that I need to do something around this soon today because I've been bad at this, so to speak.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so maybe this is the part where you're practicing the script, then you're making some phone calls, and then you continue doing that, throughout your time. So, but
Yes, excellent. Thank you.
In the forward of shift, this is really applicable to what you just said. It's success takes action. Everything that we should be doing, we should be thinking, is this active work, right? Are we dusting things up? Are we making things happen? Right? We talked about that idea of luck for the last couple weeks, right? Blind luck or dumb luck is sitting there hoping somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, do you know, is there a realtor around here? I'm pre-approved and I want to look at some homes this weekend, right? Has that ever happened to anybody? Probably not, right? Active luck or activity-based luck is you going out there and speaking to a ton of people and having a bunch of conversations and creating a bunch of stuff, chaos, and then some of it falls back into your lap. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yes.
So it may appear like it's luck, but it's only luck because you've done what you had to do. You've taken the actions. So I remember, I don't know, this maybe 4 or 5 years ago, the second person that I ever added to my database bought a home with me about 10 years after I met them. And I said to myself, oh my gosh, how lucky is this? But then I realized that it actually wasn't really luck that much. It was because I took the action to meet them. I took the action to put them in my database. I had the patience and took the action to communicate with them consistently over 10 years. And then I finally earned the right to do business with them.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
The first person, by the way, I ever put into my database, I'll let you know, I've made some dumb moves. I'll tell you that. The very first person I added to my database, I probably shouldn't have even added because I didn't have a chance in hell of getting any business from it. Oh, you know what? I take that back. She did refer me to her sister who bought a home. I referred that business out. So I never even met either one of the women, or I never met the referral, but that woman bought a home in McDonough. So I did make a couple bucks, but I honked my horn and did one of these kind of things to her as I was pulling into a condo in Buckhead to show a property, and she was taking forever to turn into it. And it turns out she was the one that I was showing the home to.
And you had flipped her 2 birds.
I didn't flip her a bird. That would have been bad. But I kind of did this. Like, come on.
Oh, okay. I thought those were birds.
No. And it turns out, then I meet her, when the concierge set us up. I'm like, hey. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So no one's perfect. Okay. No one's perfect. All right. I got to get off right at 9 today. So I want to cover just a couple of quick things. And then don't forget, we have a class at from 1 to 2 about staying on the plan. And we have a class from, I'm sorry, 12 to 1, staying on the plan. And 1 to 2:30, we're going to go a little longer on wealth building. Okay. We're going to talk about some money concepts. We're going to talk about profit share a little bit. We're going to talk about investing. We're going to talk about being a business owner. We're going to talk about a lot of different stuff. And I've got a special guest joining us as well between 1 and 2:30. Okay.
Bill,
Yes, ma'am.
I may be a little late for the 12 to 1. I have to go to the office for, what's her name? Lanzia?
Leanza.
Leanza, yeah.
She needs to do some things to my computer. I can't get a lot of stuff from
All right, good.
Okay.
We're recording everything, so you just hop back on when you can.
Okay.
Or watch it when you can. Okay. I haven't checked Kelly this morning, but Profit Share posted on my KW last night, and I got to tell you, is my best February ever, and it's pretty cool to get money directly deposited into my account when I didn't meet any of those clients. It's pretty awesome. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's kind of one of my little passion projects, and I want it to be top of mind for you guys as well. I want more than anything for you guys to have some passive income. So we'll spend a little bit of time later this afternoon talking about that. So I really want you guys to go back and listen to the video of Donna and I doing some calendar and time blocking work. Okay. First of all, if I was in Donna's shoes during that conversation, I would have felt a little uneasy. Okay. And I probably erred on a little bit of a strong side when we were talking, and Donna, I appreciate you putting up with that. And I even more appreciate you being willing to allow me to share it. So Donna has some important goals, and she has some important people that her goals will support. And I believe that that's not unique to just her. All of you have that. Okay. And what we identified is that some of her goals did not have a place on her calendar. And therefore, or some of the goals did not have a place, and some of the activities that would result in the goals did not have a place on her calendar. And then we all had a realization that she had the time, but if the time has not been assigned to a task that needs to get done, that you have determined is a priority, or that you've determined leads to the execution of a task that is a priority or goal, then it's just going to get filled with whatever happens. So I'll give you a quick example. I said, can we, I forget what we said here. I said something like, can you do this tomorrow?
It was 10 minutes for scripts.
Oh yes. I said, can you dedicate some time to script practice tomorrow? And she says, I'm kind of busy. And I said, can you dedicate 10 minutes of practicing scripts to I said, do you have 10 minutes? She said, yeah, I got 10 minutes. Right. And I said, all right, conversation's over. I want you to go put on your calendar right now, 10 minutes, you're going to practice your scripts. And we didn't continue until that was placed on her calendar. The point is that 10 minutes is very valuable. 10 minutes, you can call a relative and check in. You can check in with a couple clients. You can practice your scripts. You can go work out. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do in 10 minutes. But you need to make sure you respect just every minute, right? Not just the big blocks of time. What I have found to be really helpful, guys, is to have this idea of a daily intention every day, right? So my daily intention for today, right, is to speak to a bunch of people outside of Keller Williams and expose them to this opportunity. Okay. That's my daily intention, or one thing for today. Okay. And if you share your daily intention, let's say this might be a good practice, share your daily intention or your one thing with your accountability partner, or you can share it publicly in this forum, like we did with Kathy the other day. And at the end of the day, your accountability partner might say, how'd you do? You told me your one thing was to book 3 appointments. How many did you book? You told me your one thing was to throw the football with your daughter outside. Did that happen? Right? And we do that every morning as a leadership team, where we say, okay, Bill, what's your one thing for today? Okay, my one thing is this. Boom. You said your one thing yesterday was this. Did it get done? Do you need any help? Right? And that's what you and your accountability partner and this peer group ought to be doing, because it's really going to force you to say, what is the one thing that will move the needle forward the most in my business right now? And by the way, when you spend a moment identifying what that is, and then you do it, that does wonders for your brain. Okay. Because you're telling your brain something is important, and then you're finishing that behavior, you're executing on that task, and then your brain starts to believe you when you say this is the most important thing for the day. that make sense? It's the opposite of lying to yourself.
Hmm.
Okay. So I would love for all of you guys, remember on the very, in the inside pocket of that binder that I gave you, had an example of a daily success list. And I've uploaded that into the Google Drive as a doc file. So if you want to play around with it and edit it to your own needs, you certainly can. But I recommend having that in front of you every day, right? My goal is to fill this thing up with people that I've communicated with and check off some boxes that said I added some people to my database and I spent a few minutes in command and I made a post or two on Facebook or whatever it may be, right? So what is it that you've got to do every day so that you can win the day? And what is the most important thing you can do each day so that you go and do that thing first? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll throw out one more idea that I got from one of our leaders yesterday that talked about what's another script that you could do, or how can you help a person in your database right now or a friend of yours right now. Remember, we've been talking about coming from the heart, right? Not calling people and say, hey, you're probably stuck at home. Can I do you want to list your home, right, or something like that? Being like way over the top aggressive, right? Calling and saying, hey, how are you? Is everyone safe? Is everyone healthy? Is there anything that I can do for you, right? Remember that the elderly are most at risk, right? If you're over 70 years old, and some reports even say 60 years old, these are the people that are most at risk. What would be, I mean, here's an example of a way you could help them. By the way, you could offer this, and if you did it, I think you would probably have a client for life. But I think the likelihood of them taking you up on it is pretty slim, but the offer is pretty cool. What if you went and picked up some groceries for one of your elderly friends or clients, right? What if you went over to their house and set up a Zoom account so they could still talk to their loved ones, right? I can't even imagine trying to tell my mother-in-law how to set up a Zoom account. I mean, that she can barely check her email, right?
I want to take a minute here. Like my neighbor, well, okay, I'm from New York, so one of my friends in New York, she moved to a fairly new neighborhood, and then she just battled cancer. Yesterday, she posted on Facebook that a neighbor wrote her a handwritten note, took a bag of pasta and tied it to a roll of toilet paper. And she was like, the note was basically like, hey, I know you're not feeling well. I just really wanted to make sure that you had a little to eat and some toilet paper. If you need any help, just let me know. And it's like just two things, right? So toilet paper's a scarcity right now,
Yeah.
and some dry goods, right? I just thought it was really sweet. So that was maybe something I thought, this is interesting, like a little Popeye.
That's so funny you said that. Stephanie and I came up with this whole plan yesterday to do that in our neighborhoods. For all of our neighbors.
Great.
That's yeah, it is.
With pasta and toilet paper?
It was toilet paper. Stephanie and I were going to do toilet paper, and she wrote this beautiful note.
Yeah.
I'm actually at Sam's right now trying to get some. That's why y'all see the line.
Yeah.
They're just opening, so I'm hoping to get some.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm gonna see if I can pull up the letter.
Outside of the box, and just willing to do something no one else is willing to do, right? You could say to one of your elderly neighbors or contacts and say, hey, do you know about Zoom? You can actually use your computer to speak to your family wherever they happen to be. It'd take me, if you want me to come over, it'll take me 5 minutes to set it up for you, or I could even walk you through it. That is a client for life, right? These are tense times. If you're willing to do just one thing like that's slightly above normal, slightly more impressive than normal, it will go an incredibly long way. Okay.
Right.
All right. Just one last thing. So remember, we're going to do the seller's listing agreement on Monday. So take some time over the weekend to do that, and go ahead and begin to read Tactic 2. I'm not sure exactly what day we'll do that, but it'll probably be early next week. And don't forget, we have sessions at 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock today. And you all have a great day. I got a ALC meeting right now with everybody, but If you need anything, don't hesitate to message me, okay?
All right.
All right.
All right, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.